Hey people, good morning Reaper fans. How are we this morning? It is Anne coming to you from the studio room at Reaper HQ, where we will shortly indulge in some painting. It's a brand new week. We had the day off yesterday, which was very, very nice. Yes, the summoning is already finished. I'm here. I was going to say, Future Ruble, your summoning was very, very short and kind of post Anne. Well, at least it was effortless, right? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. This is the voice I use for my dog in the morning is good morning. Morning, morning, morning.
Hello, everyone.
Morning, Everlina. Morning, Kaz. Morning, Corno Eco. Awesome. Fantastic. Oh no, Hyper Bunny. I'm sorry your internet is very slow. Apparently, your Hyper Bunniness is not operating on your internet. Since Hyper Bunnies would be fast. Hello, Magnetic Gumby and Twisted Oma and everybody. Good morning, Margaret.
Makes me think of the old Energizer commercials.
Yes, yes. Awesome. All right, so we're all kind of chill this morning, just chilling out in the studio. I have a dwarf that I'm going to paint some red hair on for you guys. Oh no, I'm sorry, Comrade Corey. I'm sorry that you're sickly. Temperature has been flipping around here in North Texas also, so I expect a lot of Reaper employees will shortly be feeling the same. It's those big temperature swings in the late winter, early spring get us. You should get a laptop, though, so that you can watch in bed. That's even better. All right. Well, everybody else seems to be...
I'm curious.
Huh?
Shooter said, glad to hear the audio volume is back to normal today.
Well,
What?
Shooter, I think are you talking about my home studio difference?
No.
Or
So
different?
I was not here yesterday. And Collins ran the stream yesterday. And anytime that happens, I like it because I think there's no telling what could happen. So something tells me
So
that
true.
there was an audio issue yesterday. So
Just low yesterday, Jay?
it was low yesterday. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the stream yesterday, though, because...
Yeah, I slacked off. I decided that I needed to do some stuff at home and actually enjoy a day off for once and cook. So, yeah. Oh, really? So really quiet, huh, Robin? Wow.
Uh-oh. I wonder
Eek.
what happened.
I don't know. Oh,
Well,
interesting.
I
Weird.
went through my normal checks this morning, and nothing seemed to be super out of whack. But
Nothing was weird?
yeah, I mean, there's some things I readjusted, but nothing crazy that would cause that.
Weird. Planar Crossroads, really? Once Discord gets 1,000 members, I will sponsor a giveaway for Anne's morning stream.
All right.
That's pretty cool.
That is actually really cool, Planer.
Yes, thank you. All right, well, we're pretty chill, so let's go and start painting dwarves so that we can chat at each other and watch painting at the same time.
All right.
All right, swap.
Here we go.
Yeah, woohoo! All right, yay, dwarf. Yay, dwarf. Look, we can get so close. It's Fullamar, Iron Hand. His number is an oldie and a goodie, one of the first models to be released in Bones and sculpted by Mr. Werner Klock, the master of dwarfiness himself. We're going to be using the red hair triad with, I've got some other colors I can kind of tell you about. It's, he is a really nice dwarf. He's a good warrior or a cleric or a paladin, depending on what you want to throw on your warhammer. You can also easily chop this weapon off and throw a different weapon on his hand if you want to make him something different. So yeah, he's one of the first, but also I think a very, very good dwarf, very Werner, and he's got a Beerstein on his shield. So if you do not have this dwarf and you are a dwarf fan, obviously this is the dwarf for you. Let's see. Magnetic Gumby wants to know if you can put the SKU model and stuff on the bottom of the stream. One of the problems with doing the paints, Magnetic Gumby, is that I don't always know exactly what I'm going to use until I get up here. So at that point, it's pretty late to be adding info. I think, Justin, you add it to the notes afterwards, right?
Not
Sometimes?
typically. If it's known, yes. But like you said, you'll often you'll come in a storm of mixing paints and this and that. But typically, no.
Yeah, yes, I'm too spontaneous, Magnetic Gumby. It's true.
But the mini is in the title, so the mini is a part of it. And also, we typically have a let's see here. This right here, I want to be the all present. So if you're here, you should be able to type in !RTB, and it should have everything. That's just the mini. In this case, like she said, the paints are kind of all over the place.
Yeah, that's why I tend to talk a lot about the paints that I'm using during the stream, and you can always ask also in chat, which paints am I using? Today it is going to be the Red Hair Triad. I wanted to point some stuff out.
Oh, perfect. Do you know
About
what
it?
the SKU is for that by chance? You know what?
I
can look it
don't
up.
ever know triad SKUs because that's nothing I ever do because I don't deal with packaging. I know the names of the numbers of the paints, and that's about it.
Then I will put the red hair triad in the command. So we
Yes.
can see that.
Yes, Reaper Red Hair Triad, 92, 41, 42, and 43. Magnetic Gumby, yeah, I mean, it is. If you're trying to do a paint along, it's true. I think also it's the nature of the two streams is very different. Morning, Painting Dog. Because Josh is definitely like painting. He's definitely doing kind of a paint along, and he's going step by step for you to paint with, entire models, an entire encounter, as I recall. Am I correct about that, Justin?
Yes.
Yeah, whereas I am really doing spot offs. I'm not finishing a whole model. I'm just saying, let's talk about red hair today and throwing in, some ideas and things.
I was about to say, yours is more like the application of the technical.
It's more technique.
Yeah.
It's more technique
It's,
based.
hey, this is the brush stroke. This is what you do. This is what you can do. All of the paint is completely up to you.
Reaper John wants to know why you don't just add some text to the scrolls.
Because you could... Text and scrolls?
Yeah, Reaper John just says, why don't you just add a banner or a scroll across the bottom of the screen with the paint numbers once we know them?
Because that's the same thing for a graphic or even like just SKUs at the bottom. It all does the same thing. But once again, that comes back around to knowing what paint we use. The model is always there.
Yeah, Vigos has a good point. Josh is using a very specific palette of colors for several figures, and I'm not. So,
Correct.
And sometimes I'm not even sure what I want to teach the next day until it's the next day. Twitch is having a Monday. I think I'm having a Monday too.
Oh, thank you, CNOT, for the raid.
Oh, yay! CNOT gave us a raid. Man, I have to take my energy up a notch. I think I needed more tea this morning. I had some chai, but it wasn't quite enough. But yeah, CNOT, you rock. Hello, everybody coming over from CNOT. We are Reaper Miniatures, and I, Anne, am actually going to be demoing red hair on a dwarf today. So without further ado, I'm going to actually start talking about the colors I'm using, guys. And this red hair triad, you can also see them over here in my palette. This one maybe is showing up a little bright on camera, the highlight color. But the cool thing about this triad is that... Someone get this lady a tea. I know, see, not right? I'm so chill, though. I'm just like, if I had more caffeine, I'd start getting hyper, and I kind of like the chill. Chill Tuesday. Let's rock it. So, yeah, the cool thing about this triad, by the way, is that you can start really at either of these 2 points very easily. So if you want a darker red hair, if you want auburn, this isn't just a shadow. You can use this color as your base coat if you're looking for auburn hair. So, and then if you want more of a carrot top, more of a, regular middle-of-the-road, bright, orangey red beard, like dwarves are often depicted with, you start with carrot top. You can also start with a mix of highlight and carrot top if you're looking for a little bit lighter of a color. So this is a fairly, not so much for me, Margaret. I find that I've never really had the shakes from caffeine, even when I was really addicted to it. And now I'm actually much better. I don't have nearly as much anymore. I'm fine. I actually just indulged and ordered a whole bunch of teas from Good Earth when I swore that I was going to try to actually reduce my tea cabinet. I somehow had a major failing over the weekend and ordered a bunch of tasty things. So now I have to drink what I've got. All right. So yeah, so we can start with, if we can make him go auburn, if we start darker, we can make him go, more of the traditional hair if we start in the middle. If you want to start with auburn, then I would advise mixing a shadow, which is this one, which is actually half and half auburn and black and brown. Shoom.
Oh, yeah, I also forgot that, too.
What?
That 9 times out of 10, you put all the paints on the screen like this.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's there. I mean, it really, it should be just fine. I mean, I at least spend part of the video putting the paints on the screen, So yeah. So yes, thank you for the name compliment. Oh yeah. I want free shipping. Oh, this looks tasty. Yeah, I just did that, Silverthorn. That's exactly the problem. And that will be evil. Plus, I'm going to Santa Fe at the beginning of March, and one of my favorite in-person tea shops is in Santa Fe, so that I'm sure will further. Yeah, black and brown I use for an awful lot of stuff. All right, so let's just plop. Let's start with Carrot Top. I can always paint over it to show a darker one. So got to get my brush loaded up. Yay. And this is, I've watered it down a bit. I may need to actually make it a little thicker. Yeah, I think I'm going to thicken it up.
Uber Nubage. So there's a couple of different things that I know that people do. I think the primary thing that people do is they will boil them, not the whole mini, just the parts, or they'll dip them in boiling water briefly, and then as soon as you pull it out, and then you straighten it, you do whatever with it you want to, and then let it kind of cool, and then it should stay in place.
Actually, the best way is an ice water bath. And it doesn't need to be boiling water, just really hot water can do. Just nuke some water in a mug for a couple minutes until it's really hot, and then insert mini, let it sit, depending on the thickness of the thing. If it's a sword, it's going to heat through really fast. Then make sure you've got kind of a bowl or a mug with some ice water in it. Pull the mini out, kind of hold the sword straight or whatever, and whatever part you're working with, and then insert it in the ice water. That's key. Make sure you're holding it in the position you want it to have when you dip it in the ice water.
I also have heard of some people using very low setting on a heat gun.
Then you're asking for trouble, but yeah.
But I have heard of people doing that.
Make sure you're good with your heat gun.
Correct. Yeah, if you're not,
you can melt
good,
things.
Yeah, if you're not good, I would say that is the more risky version.
Yeah. So. Hot water is a bit more reliable.
Interesting. Oh. Someone said that the on the website Carrot Top Red is listed as 9342, but on the bottle it's 9242.
It's 92. The actual number is 9242. So we should tell somebody about that on the website.
Yeah, that would be a typo. Actually, that would be a graphic typo, so I get to take that to Ron.
Ooh, fun.
Or Collins.
I do, we do sound check with everything is Ron's fault for a reason. Although I don't know if this was actually Ron's fault or if somebody else actually set up that graphic, so. Yay, so that's a nice, actually he's coming off it. You know what, I need to fix some, we're coming off very vibrant. We have our saturation's too high, Justin. What do we fix, what do we do? Okay, you got me?
Yep.
All right, Justin's gonna fix it. Because it is showing up really bright and it is not this bright in person. And I'd rather have, Justin is adjusting us. Adjusting us? I think he's adjusting us. All right, yeah, that's a lot better. Yay! Yeah. So it's still pretty vibrant, but it's not like super like red-orange like it was looking a second ago.
That makes sense,
yeah.
I see it now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And these look a lot more. Yeah, now you can see that this orange is not too hot. This is actually very representative of the colors. Good, yay! Because you don't want to use too bright of a color or it's just not going to look natural, given that dwarves are unnatural creatures anyway. But I'm going to do the ponytail too. Why not? Actually, you know what? I'll do the ponytail in auburn. That way I can show you guys. Yeah, the auburn works pretty good for leather and wood. It's I tend to use ruddy leather, 9109, if I want a reddish leather, but you could certainly use the auburn. Oh, I started too dark. Anne, bad Anne, no cookie. Well, with Learn to Paint kits, Jay, whenever you've got a really long document like that, it's inevitable you're going to get a typo somewhere that everybody's going to miss, no matter how many times you read it over.
Hashtag not professionals.
Yes, yes. Well, even professional people do that.
Oh, absolutely.
There are plenty. I cannot even name the number of, novels I've read where there is still a typo. But that's because you're dealing with such a long document. When you've got thousands of words to look through, it's hard to catch everything. There we go. We'll just set up the ponytail as an auburn. He's still like reading a little bit. I'm going to get this stuff out and see if I can get it to read a little. Yeah, it reads a little better. Oh, okay. So an actual misnamed paint. Yeah, that can happen too. Yeah. That's right, because it's creamy ivory, not bleached. Well, the colors are similar, but bleached linen is lighter. I'm actually going to be using bleached linen in my highlights on this, because it's just a nice off-white. There we go. So you can start either way. You can start with if you want the bright red or if you want the dark red, and it doesn't matter. You did not miss the stream, JJ's rocking.
How you doing, JJ?
Morning, Riot.
Morning, Riot, yeah.
All right, so once we have our base coat down, then hair is pretty easy, actually. I actually just wrote, this is funny because I actually just wrote a PDF for blonde hair for my Patreon. And so the thing about hair is that you could technically, Sergio told us this in class, so he's like, you could paint hair like NMM and it would look great and everybody would love it, but it would be wrong. And this is exactly true. Hair has a lot in common with metal. It is shiny is the main thing. But unlike metal, it's see-through, it's translucent. Light passes through it. So when you highlight hair, you don't do it like you do NMM. You especially don't do the shadows like you do NMM. You do more of a rounded highlight. So I'm going to start in, I'm going to actually place my shadows. The shadows in hair are pretty predictable. You are pretty much going to paint them between the locks of hair. So, and this guy has a lot of different locks and sections of hair on him. And how dark the hair ends up looking is up to you on how much of the shadow you apply. If you do a lot of shading with the auburn, the hair is going to look darker than if you are really light with your shading. We are doing okay today. I'm pretty chill. I probably could have used a little more caffeine, but, you know, I'm just going to have a chill stream. Chill stream.
Careful not to hide behind your corner cam there.
Oh, no, corner cam. I don't have my piece of tape anymore. Makes me sad. Piece of tape was fun because then I knew exactly where I should be. But we move the camera around more now.
Oh, yeah. Well, we move the camera basically every, you know.
So let's grab some more of our auburn. And the other place we want to put the auburn is anywhere where the light is not falling. So right now you can see the bottom bits of the beard are going to be mostly in shadow. So I'm actually going to paint some auburn over the tips down there.
How was your day yesterday, Anne, by the way?
My day was...
Yeah, how was your day?
It was super relaxing. I got a lot done, which is funny to put those two things in a sentence. But because my weekends tend to be so regimented, because, you know, I have to do paint club, and then I have to do this, and then I have to do that. It actually is nice to have a day off that isn't regimented so I can get other stuff done that kind of needs to get done but tends to fall off my normal schedule.
I got a ton of stuff done too, actually. Some of which I had already told you about, which that was the biggest headache for yesterday. Well, I don't know. It was a close competition between that and getting all 3 of my pets vaccinated at the same time.
Oh, dear.
And I'm pretty sure that was a bad decision.
Dog juggling.
Well, it was 2 dogs and a cat.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pet juggling.
Especially since there was some people in line behind me with a particularly mean dog.
Oh,
One
I hate
that.
that.
He was very, he was mean growling, and basically any dog that got close to him, he was just going to tear into.
Right.
It was, everyone was giving them wide
See.
space because, you know.
Well, yeah. This I think I might leave a little light on for now.
Yeah, that works. I mean, I can always bump the exposure if you want to.
Just want them to be able to see a little bit more detail. All right, kind of put the shadow like under the nose there. Kind of put the shadow right up against the face. There we go.
That looks good already.
Yeah, see, you can just put a shadow on and ta-da!
Really, though, I mean, you could probably just...
You could probably just game with that, really.
Like, if you wanted to, you could. You could leave that. That looks really good, Anne.
So, but we're not done yet, Justin. We're not done. So I'm going to go over a little bit on some of these hairs to make them, I put a thin coat on a few of them at first. So I'm going to make it a little more solid of a base coat.
Kind of like highlighting, but not.
Kind of. Rebase coating.
Rebase coating.
When leaving the shadows in the, there we go. So we've got some more intensity going on. All right. So highlights. So hair really is, and this is like kind of an elementary version of highlighting that people start with usually before they get into like zenith highlighting and stuff, where if it bulges out, you highlight it. But with hair, this is absolutely true, because what you got here is the light is coming down and it's hitting this portion of the hair that's sticking out, but then it's also passing through the hair and out the other side. So what you have is a bell curve. You have your shadow to your midtone, to a highlight, to a midtone, to a shadow, because the light is passing through the hair. So you get kind of a bell curve. So let's try that. And this is how it's different than NMM, because NMM, your shadow is right under your highlight.
Yes, Pyromancer. They are all uploaded to YouTube. Although there's a couple behind. I think there's the stuff from Wednesday to Friday last week isn't up yet, but it will be today. So I had scheduled to have them released, but there was an issue with YouTube's encoding or something, and it errored out.
Oh, YouTube.
Yeah.
We think YouTube is a pain in the butt.
It dumped all of them for no real reason.
Yeah, pretty much YouTube is a pain in the butt.
That is true.
It's my least favorite part of doing video. But it is the ubiquitous thing, so we must use it, sadly. So if there's a piece of hair that's kind of flat, like in this one, the mustache up against the face, then you don't do necessarily a bell curve because it's just going to hit the top and just kind of go right down through it. So thinking about how light hits the model again, just a little bit. And likewise over here on the shoulder, it doesn't really, if it passes through the hair here, it's just going to hit the underlying armor. So I'm just going to put a middle highlight right around there. And there's a little strand that sticks out down here. So, all right, so there's where we are. Now you're going to notice I do not, oh, thanks for the host, Gray Paladin Art.
Yes, thank you. Now I'm curious, Anne, if you wanted to add gray to this beard, could you just, instead of highlighting with that, could you highlight with gray?
Actually with gray, if you look at how gray goes into red beards usually, it's usually in patches. So you'd want to figure out like where your gray is going to go, and you probably want to do a little bit of gray base coat in there to interrupt it. I actually did study this the other day. The problem with trying to do gray hairs, especially at this scale, Justin, like you could do it on a bust a lot easier. Because, I mean, usually if it's salt and pepper, then you've just got tiny little gray hairs sprinkled through the whole thing, right? And that, when you do that at this scale, it just looks like you've got white worms all over your model.
Oh, I see.
It doesn't work real well, because I only add strands, or the suggestion of strands, like at the very end of painting 28 millimeter hair, pretty much.
I see, okay.
Yeah, JJ Tracking. We don't give out, we actually don't do giveaways for this stream in the morning. Because Justin tends to get overwhelmed with all the giveaways these days, and he's the one who has to wrestle with them. So until we have a solution for that, we are pretty much just asking for your subs so that we can keep going. Like every sub counts. Don't ever think that just because there's not a free that not subbing to a program doesn't count, because I mean what your sub is also telling the Reaper bosses is, we like this show, you should keep doing it. So I know it's tempting to save all your subs for the stuff with the freeze, but subs count everywhere. So.
I will say though that upon talking to Dave on Friday and coordinating with someone else, he might have someone who's going to do the basically the sheer time dedication portion of the giveaways.
Oh yeah.
So I don't want to get people's hopes up, but there's a decent chance here within the next week we can just start doing giveaways left and right. Because,
oh my gosh, now they're never going to let you live that down. It's got to be a thing.
Hello, it should be coming.
Thanks for the painting big dragons. Yeah, so here we go. But yeah, so what I've noticed if I'm going to do gray hair on a redhead is I want to do that streak of gray like in the goatee, or I want to do the streak of gray coming kind of off the temples, or I want to do, you want to place a gray area in there. More than you want to do like a salt and pepper. You can try to do salt and pepper on like really dark hair, but even then it's just so hard to make it really go, unless you've got somebody who's like, again, graying at the temples or graying at a specific area, because then you can paint that area gray and kind of make it look blended in. Maybe I'll try to do that on a dark haired model coming up. I need a good sculpt for it. One that would work. And that's the other thing, is it doesn't work on every model. It takes a particular type of hair to make it work, really, I find.
Corinthio, did you get the... I put the command in chat there to show the mini and the paint she's using.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm Luke.
No problem.
I moved my paint up because I was not liking how things were reading. We were using the Reaper Red Hair Triad, and we're using it in 2 different ways, because I did the ponytail in auburn, and I did this one in the carrot top red. And I also need a little bit of highlight right under the mouth here. A little bit more up top here. All right.
Do you typically, I'm curious, because I know you said you're really fluid and all over the place when it comes to the paint you're mixing and using. Do you typically use a triad, though?
I do not, actually. I do not, because I am really, really, really fluid. And because I know what's in all the colors, I don't need to. I usually like to do it just off the cuff. I often have an idea of, I like to use shadows, for example, that have nothing to do with the color that I'm base coated with. Daffodil Weir, yes. Well, Reaper is going to have a lot of half-painted minis because, these are all just Reaper minis. I have a shelf downstairs. Now, I remember I did do the wolf cape on this guy also, so I am reusing these models for various stuff. But will they all get painted all the way? No way. There's actually far more urgent stuff for me to paint, so... But yeah, I don't use triads in general, unless sometimes for stuff like this, I might use a triad. But it varies. I'll often throw in an extra shadow like I did with this, or I'll throw in an extra, I'll always throw in an extra highlight because I highlight a lot more than the triads go up to. So like with this, we're going to mix a mixture of bleached linen and highlight orange when we get to the very top highlights. I'll actually pop my...
So... The reason why I ask is I kind of want to do this right here, maybe.
Okay.
Or maybe have something specifically. Ignore the fact that I edited it. I did, yeah. But something like that, right?
Yeah.
Where we've got I like the graphic.
Yeah.
But if we're not always using triads, it can be kind of
Well, I tend to use triads here in this stream. When I do my own painting at home, I don't.
Oh, that's fair.
Because I do, part of the thing with this stream is introducing people to the paint line and making it easy for them so they don't have to be confused about stuff. Paint pokies are awesome. Awesome paint pokey. Buy me, I am the paint pokey. Sorry. Couldn't resist, had one right here.
Do we actually have them available on the website or did we sell them?
Oh, I do not know. I know we have them in the store, but beyond that. Or I think we do because we have a whole wall of them in internet. So I think they're available on website. I seem to recall some of my patrons telling me they ordered some. The paint pokies are good. It's nice because you've got, for one thing, the skull makes it harder to lose. If you're just carrying around like a stick pin or a safety pin, it's easy to lose it. The little cork is nice if you put it in your paint carrier, and it's got the fact that the skull is easy to hold while you're punching down into the paint bottle is also really nice. So it gives you a nice holding thing. So I like them and I use them both at work and at home. I'm going to add another highlight because the highlight orange takes it up but doesn't take it up a lot. Though you can see it. You can see the highlight orange in various places here. Now in the middle of that, I'm going to actually mix highlight orange with bleached linen. This is the first time I'm going to actually kind of try to suggest, I need to go a little darker, or a little lighter rather. I'm going to try to suggest a little bit of hair strands at this point. Let me do a quick mix. I was trying to spot blend it, but I'm like, no, I should have an actual mixture because I need to know where my paint consistency is at. So blending or building each brush full is just not working for me. All right, there we go.
You know what I've decided I think I'm going to do?
What are you going to do?
Sometime soon. I think I'm going to build a tool that clips all of our paint, like you see it right there as a triad. And then no matter what paints you're using that day, I can basically punch it in, it populates, and then I just drag and drop the graphic onto the screen.
Yeah, that's true. Ron Ed question, are paint pokies proving to be cost effective enough? Yeah, Dr. Bob, that would be a question for them. Although I don't think that Ed would release something if it wasn't cost effective, personally.
Oh, thank you, Jacob, for the tier 3.
Yay, ooh, tier 3. That's awesome. Thank you. What brush is this? This, actually, the one I was using before is a little bit bigger, and I've switched to a very skinny brush now. So I was using a Da Vinci Maestro Series 11 size 0, which is a bit bigger and fatter to base coat and to use to do the starting stuff. And then now I've just switched to my super skinny brush, which is again a Da Vinci, but it's a different series. It's a series 10 instead of 11. It's a size 1. It's pretty much what I do all my detail work with.
And there's a link to it right there.
Yes, indeedy, and my palette. So let's see here. I want a really thin brush because if I'm going to be doing thin lines, then I have to have a thin brush, and I also need to thin my paint a bit more because the paint will not come off of a thin brush nicely unless you thin your paint a little more. These things are related. The interior of the Reaper Keeper. Didn't they on the show last week?
They showed the...
Didn't they take it apart? I thought they...
They did, and they showed the inside. Ron unzipped it and showed that they had the foam inside and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there. Last Reaper Live.
But I don't think I don't think he pulled everything out and showed like a close-up or anything. He just kind of said, hey, this goes inside kind of thing.
I see. Make a couple of lighter stripes on the beard to bring out some highlights, and if I decide that they're too much, then I'll glaze. So these locks are big enough for me to put a couple of different strands of hair and try to highlight them that way. My highlight color is pretty pale. It's got a lot of white in it, so I may end up having to orange it out a little bit more to make it look right.
No, the shows from Wednesday to Friday are not on YouTube because YouTube aired out. So those are going to go back up on YouTube today. But all of those shows are viewable on Twitch as a VOD for free to anybody if you want to watch them.
Yeah.
So
there's
always a backup. There's not you're not completely up proverbially.
Proverbially?
It's
Words
not,
are hard for Justin today, guys.
It is. My brain
Words
is
are so hard.
Shit creek, as it were.
Yeah.
So, my brain is just... Someone clip that. I'll use it. It'll turn into a bit.
So these got a little bit... I want to take it right up next to his nose, and I want to make that a little orangier. What does doing art with a tablet hurt your hand more than when you do it with a pencil? That's interesting, Silverthorn. I would take a look at how much pressure you're applying between the two is one thing, and also look at how you're holding each one. And also the angle that you're holding the tablet at compared to the angle you would work with a pencil on paper. There's got to be differences that are giving you that issue, but those three things are the most likely that I would think.
Maybe it's the lack of resistance too when you're actually like, drawing on the tablet, because there's no friction there. It's not as much friction, right?
The tablet I find actually has a little bit more friction. It's not as smooth as a pencil, to me.
Oh, okay.
At least, but I have an older tablet, so it does have a little bit of a texture on it, right? You don't want it to be really thin, and you don't want it to be really slick, right? Because you want a little texture on the tablet. Although some people, now the Cintiqs are glass, so that's not necessarily a thing. But at first, like the older tablets had a little bit of texture.
I see.
So it's possible. But yeah, look at the pressure that you're using. That probably could be a difference. All right.
I use a Wacom tablet, and it's real nice. I have no issue with
I have an older Wacom. All right, so we got some highlights on the beard there, toward the center of things, or toward the top if they're kind of flat up against something. I do think I need a little bit more orange, though. So I'm going to actually grab a little bit more of this highlight orange. Might do a glaze. It looks good, but I would like it a little bit. I'd like it a little more orangey. So I'm going to glaze with my highlight color, and maybe a little bit. The other colors that are good for hair highlights are the old red dust, which was from when we were doing heavy gear. But a color that's very close to that is the red neon glow. I also like to use the new, it'll come out in Bones 5, the new Lotus Orange is also a great color for highlighting. Let me see if I can glaze a little bit here. If you think your highlights are too harsh, then glaze with like your highlight orange. I like to glaze with the highlight orange instead of the base coat color because the orange is, the base coat color would be very red over the white highlights. So I tend to want to push it more toward orange. And wick off your excess fluid. And that blends everything in.
Margaret 714.
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Margaret, let's see here. Where is my glazing? There you go. All right, so glazing is like a wash, except you're not letting it pool, and you're using it a lot more thin.
You're off screen.
Oh, boop.
There you go. Or you're hiding behind, I should say.
So what I'm doing with glazing is, you'll notice after I did it, these highlights blend in a lot more now. They don't stick out as harshly, and everything looks a bit more orange, which is what I wanted. So those are the two uses of a glaze, and here's a glaze. Here's what I used. You can see that it really is colored water. It's much thinner than a wash. A glaze is like a filter on a camera. So essentially I'm using it to blend in brush strokes and also to shift color, and you can use it for both of those. Here I did use it for both at the same time. I wanted to shift it a little bit more orange and a little less red, and I wanted to take the harshness of the highlights down a peg, and it worked for that. So you just paint the glaze over the whole surface. Do not let it pool. It will dry in like wonky rings because it is very, very thin. So you kind of slurp off the excess with your brush so that it doesn't dry kind of weird. Unlike a wash where you're letting it pool, but your wash is going to be thicker, and that's why you can let your wash pool. I didn't use any medium or anything mixed into my glaze. I actually don't like the texture that it gives things, so my glazes are purely water and paint. It's actually not even a newer technique, Shotokami. I guess I was also learning 20 plus years ago, and I think it's more what's popular. I don't think it's a new technique. I think it's more what was popular at various phases. Because, yes, I do remember a phase where everybody was like, oh, start dark, work light. And then everybody was like, oh, no, midtone, then shade, then highlight. There is no advantage. There is merely what works for you. I will do both. For example, I did midtone shadow highlight on hair, but when I do skin, I always do shadow to highlight. So I always start dark, work light with skin tones. And there are various, like for off-whites or light colors, I also start dark and work light. But for things like blues, I'll always start with the midtone and then go down and up. So I actually change what I do depending on the characteristics of the colors, how transparent they are, and how hard it is to get a good blend on them. So yeah.
Thank you, Plano. That's great.
Bedtime Story, read by Justin. But yeah, so I think that those two techniques go in and out of style. I think that depending on who's advertising what, I mean, there's always going to be painters that prefer one or the other. So if there's somebody who is really popular and they're using a particular style, then I think you can see that style kind of peak and a lot of people start using it and playing with it. And then, then it swings the other way. It's just like metallics versus NMM. Although the more the internet is pervasive, I find that the less that happens, because at that point you can find anybody using either technique. And it's less common for us to get huge fads this time, I think, because there are so many people teaching and there are so many people out on the internet talking about painting that I feel like, unlike the old days when there was maybe only a couple of forums where people were talking about mini painting, nowadays everything is out there. Everything is popular. Cool, Sidestorm. Excellent. This is a very good triad. I do love it. If I was trying to replicate Justin's beard, I don't know. I'd have to study Justin's beard first to try to figure it out. Is it a blonde beard or is it brown?
A little bit of red too, but
a little bit of red. Yeah, well, beards are often more reddish than hair color.
That is fair.
So
but predominantly blonde, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It looks like kind of an ashy blonde, so.
Works for me.
But
I was born with platinum blonde hair, so
you were one of the, I was also really light haired when I was younger. Yeah, I mean, these days it's what works for you and what do you like. And I mean, nobody really has the right to call you on what you're painting and tell you that, oh, well, that doesn't really work and you should do it this other way. If somebody ever tries that to you, they've got an agenda. Just ignore them. Usually it's somebody trying to pump themselves up as better or more knowledgeable who's trying to present their way as the best way. And I'm never a fan of that.
To lend to your previous point, though, Anne, for instance, I think one of the better examples we have is that Josh frequently uses zenithal lighting applications, right? And I don't know how many people actually do that, but he gets really good results for it because it's what works for him, right?
Right.
So at the end of the day, if it gets you really good, honestly, if you can paint with your toes and you get fantastic results,
Yeah.
then that's what works for you. And
Right,
you
yeah,
can,
nobody can knock it, really.
correct. You
And
can't
who knows,
knock
you may
it.
start a fad of painting with your toes, because this
Yeah.
does happen, because people are always looking for the special sauce. So
Right.
if you discover something, a technique that is different, or a way of thinking of things that nobody else really does or advertises, then yeah, you can totally be the special sauce of the week. Mobile paint kits are weird for me. I am going to have to construct another one coming up. I haven't had to Human Aqua for a long time because, of course, I have my paints at work and I have my paints at home, and never the twain shall meet. But when I did do it, I used a tackle box. My problem was last time I went looking for one of those is that finding an upright tackle box is very hard. Like, they seem to all have like trays that go in from the top down. I was using one that was more like a file, almost like a I'm trying to think about. It was like an upright one, and the drawers pulled out, and then it had a scooped area on the top where I could stuff paint in it, and it was level. And I'm seeing less of that. Like last time I went looking for a tackle box, I couldn't find anything that was close to what I wanted. A lot of people, I know people buy art supply boxes. There are custom art supply boxes on places like eBay, where people who are good at woodworking have put something together. I know Brian Pearsall, who teaches at ReaperCon, he has one of those, and it's just really a simple box with a drawer that sits in the top. And so then art supply boxes might be a better option if you can find a nice big one that's deep enough for your paint. But yeah. Honestly, nowadays, though, if I have to go, like if I go to somewhere else to paint, like somebody else's house, I do keep little baggies of project paints. So whatever project I'm working on, I have a Ziploc baggie with the key colors in it that I would use. And so I'm more likely to just grab my brush holder and my project baggie and a paint water cup and be done. Because that's usually, that'll get me through an evening of painting, as long as I don't change my mind about what I want to paint. I've gotten more into the habit of traveling light as the years go on. So, all right. Let me see, just catching up on chat. Oh, sewing kit wooden box. Yeah, that could be good. That could be very good. All right, so here's our little auburn hair part. So we started using the same colors. All right, we started using the auburn and highlighted up with the carrot top, and then I'm putting highlight orange on top. So you can see how it's still red, but it stayed much darker. And that's because I'm leaving a lot of that auburn there. I'm only highlighting with the carrot top red, and now I'm highlighting just a little extra with the orange. I probably won't take it up quite as light, but I'll try. I'll try to put one highlight on it. There. So it's mostly the highlight's going to end up both at this little area that kind of would, some of the light would fall on this little area that's scooping sideways, and then otherwise most of it's up top. I usually carry my minis in like little boxes, like if you know the magic card boxes, the white foldable cheapy ones, the small ones of those will fit a lot of different sizes of miniatures. So yeah, I'll just put my mini in that box, and then I just throw it all in a bag together, a carry bag. So I don't really keep a big pre-packed box anymore. I guess because if I'm on a project, I know exactly what colors I'm using. So I have very few, like I can get away with my Clear Brights bag, which I always do have packed. So there is one bag that I always keep packed and always bring with me everywhere, and that's my pure Clear Brights plus black plus white plus russet brown and ruddy leather, I think. And so I grab that, I grab my special project colors, I grab my palette and my paint cup, and then I grab my model and I put it in a nice carry bag I have, and I carry that along. So you don't have to be too fancy, and you don't have to get this whole pre-assembled paint kit if you actually keep like a separate little thing with the paints for the project you're working on. But then I guess it depends too. If you're working on a small bundle like this, where you're going to be working with a lot of different colors on different surfaces, that doesn't carry so much. Cool. All right, just checking out. Okay, so you can see that that is more dark and auburny looking, and this is more bright and carrot top red looking. You can see that they're definitely still both red hair, and they both use the same colors, just in different... Oh, thanks for the sub, Winner Z. They both use the same colors, just in different proportions. So the only difference here is the amount of area that's being left covered by the auburn, as opposed to here where the auburn is just painted into a few of the cracks and creases. And then the carrot top is all over the place here, but the carrot top is only to highlight on the auburn. And then the highlight orange is just the very small highlight on the auburn. So let's see. No, you do not need to bring your own paints to Paint Club. Paint Club has all the, well, okay, unless you've got paints that we don't carry. Like we have the basic first 54 Bones colors available, and we have the paint rack of Master Series, which means that we do not have some of the later like Kickstarter colors and stuff, Coos. Or, sorry, Sidestorm. So if you want to come up, and as long as you're not using anything from those later series, you can be just fine. For that matter, most of the colors in the later series, I could probably tell you how to mix a kind of a close color for. But yeah, if there's a color like a Kickstarter color, like you really are using LED blue for everything, it doesn't fit on the paint rack, the standard paint rack, so you probably want to bring that. Thank you, Demetrius. And let's see here. Nope. All right, I'm caught up on chat. So let's try to put a final highlight on our auburn hair, which is the mixture of bleached linen and highlight orange that I did. I'm going to throw more water into it, make it a little bit more subtle. And also want it to come off my brush. Shooter is hosting us. Yeah, the other thing, Vimanakwa, is if you shrink your woohoo, yay for planer on the giveaway thing. If you shrink the number of colors that you tend to reach for, like I use the clear brights for a lot, and then I just carry a few extra colors. So at that point, I really can paint anything. It doesn't matter. When I go on vacation, if I want to paint on vacation, I only bring the clear brights plus ruddy leather plus russet brown. Black and white, and I can mix anything I need from those colors. So if you become more comfortable with mixing, it's a definite advantage when traveling, because at that point your selection of colors that you need to carry shrinks way down. Even if you throw in a few extra colors that you really love and want to use a lot, you're still probably going to only be carrying 24 to 30 paints, which is very, very doable. Putting a little highlight, see, putting a final highlight. Yeah, a lot of modern miniature cases look like firearms cases. There's a downside to that. I actually got my car broken into in New York City, and all of my painting stuff stolen because some punks thought that obviously they were gun cases. Never mind that, hello punks, I would not have left guns lying out in my back seat. I was with a car that didn't really have a trunk at that point. It was more a hatchback, so it was, everything got stolen and then probably later just dumped in the river. So there is a downside to miniature cases looking like gun cases if you are in certain areas of the country.
Joke's on us, though. They're probably watching this stream right now because you turned them into miniature paintings. That would be a good ending to that story, right?
That would be the best ending, yes.
Inadvertently converting a couple of people to miniature painting.
Yes, because I left it as a lure, right?
I will say, though, Anne, that is a hell of a marketing campaign.
There we go. Added a little bit more. All right. And let's see. I'm trying to think of other... another good color to use for auburn hair is 9070 mahogany brown. That works well as well. Our auburn is just a little lighter because I find that sometimes 9070 looks a little dark. That would be an advantage, right? I'm groaning. How do I mix my metallic paints? I don't usually, Vimanakwa. All right, so hold on. I got a couple questions here. MD Cake. These are actually pretty thick. I would say probably 3-to-1 paint to water, maybe 2-to-1. The thing about hair is that since it's heavily textured, you can get away with slightly thinner paint and not really show brush marks very much. And if you do show brush marks, as long as you're brushing in the direction of the hair strands, you're good, right? It's just going to look like you did it on purpose. So yeah, and then the other question of Vimanaqua on metallics. If I am working with metallics, I usually can get away with only one silver or only one gold. I just mix regular paints into those to create shadows. I just choose a very bright silver or a very bright gold, because you can always shade down with metallics, adding regular pigment. You just need the bright one for, so maybe a gold, a bright gold and a bright silver, and then pearl white for top highlight. Yeah, the theft was hard, Orion Noir, because at the time I was actually freelancing for a living, so it was pretty much my entire livelihood that got stolen. I had actually gone up to New York to talk to Bobby Wong, who is a famous mini painter of the past. Won a Slayer sword, at least one Slayer sword, long time ago when I was first starting painting, and he's a great guy. He was an EMT on Manhattan, and it was not very long after 9/11, so he actually drove us past the 9/11 site and stuff like that. It was a pretty profound trip if it only hadn't ended with me like losing everything. But, and this is just kind of a thing about New York City, he lived in Spanish Harlem, and when we came down to my car and I was about to leave and saw that it had been broken into and I lost everything, he actually went upstairs and canvassed his entire apartment building, and they felt so terrible that my car had been broken into on their turf that they like raised $400 on the spot for me to help replace stuff. So it actually was really a kind of a cool New York City moment, even though it was also an awful New York City moment.
You're behind your corner cam, by the way.
I hate corner cam. Grrr.
But I thought you liked corner cam.
No, I hate corner cam when it makes me like not paint like in the position I want to. I want everything. I want my cake and eat it too, Justin.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case.
Yeah.
I understand.
I hate you, corner cam. Quit blocking me. Anyway, so yeah. That's my New York City getting my car broken into and all my stuff stolen story. Yeah, if you're using a gun case, do put a big, like, something on it saying, you know, paints or, you know, models. Yeah, I do tend to drift to the right, but if it goes in the left corner, you can't see the paints. Corner cam is rude. I agree. That's why I like, when I do my home stream, I have them in separate windows so that at least everything in my camera, even though it makes my window a little bit smaller for painting, it still means that I can have me cam without like it getting in the way of my my painting. But this works too. It's also why I don't like it when we put chat up in the on the frame, on the paint frame, because it tends to just be intrusive. Okay, just making sure I'm caught up on everything. Yeah, we're good. So yeah, so that's pretty much good. Oh, and it's perfect. It's been 55 minutes.
Yeah, it's about spot on.
Great. Super. Okay, so any questions, you guys? We actually are done, Anthracia. We did red hair on Mr. Fullenbar Dwarf. So I was using the red hair triad plus my additional shadow for the auburn hair is black and brown mixed with the auburn shadow. And Justin has the triad up on the screen there. So there we've got our beard, and then on the other side we have our auburn hair demoed on his ponytail. So
also, there's the link to the actual triad on the website, right there.
Woohoo! Yeah, painting dog. I think chat being in Stone Window too. I mean, it's easy enough to pop out chat if you want to on your home computer. So definitely. So yeah, there you go.
All right, Miss Ann.
Yeah, I'm gonna go face cam again. All right, we are here. But yes, hello to everybody who came in late. If you want to catch it, Justin will, have it up on YouTube by tomorrow. And if not, you can watch the VOD on Twitch. No problem. Yeah, it was good to see you all. It's nice to get back in the saddle after a long weekend. I haven't decided what I'm going to paint tomorrow. I probably need to do that. But I have all of my, all day to think about it, so feed Justin.
So I have a raid set up today.
Oh, do you? Oh, the other thing this is good for, guys, foxes. If you're painting foxes, red hair triad. Seriously. Oh, yeah. We have a raid set up?
So this one is, it's another digital artist, but she is doing a character portrait for D&D. Because I assume they play digital D&D.
Oh, okay.
So instead of painting a mini, she looks like she's doing a character portrait.
Huh.
It looks really interesting. It's cool the way it's done. I think the shading is really interesting to me. I don't think she's done. But,
Right, yeah. She's obviously blocking in at this point. Right?
It caught my eye. I thought it was fun. So, all right. We'll go ahead and start the preliminary raid here. Make sure you guys spread the Reaper love. Tell her about physical minis. Maybe she wants to check out those.
Or ask if if they used to paint minis but then decided to do the portraits.
Absolutely. Spread the Reaper love.
Yeah.
Hit her with a follow too. I think
Thanks,
she'll appreciate
Aqua.
that, guys. And we will see you later today for Terrain Tuesday.
Yes, indeedy. Do tune in for Ed. What is Ed doing now?
I don't know. It looks like it's something over there. Do you see that thing?
Oh, the giant thing over there. Oh my gosh. Okay, so as usual, Ed is going big. I'm the one who's painting big, darn it. Oh, I forgot. Hey guys, I've got a Patreon and it's really cool. It's patreon.com/paintingbig, all one word. And I am $14 from my goal. It's killing me. Help me. Thank you to everybody who has already become my patrons. Our next thing that I'm about to put out is a PDF on blonde hair. Alrighty. Are we ready?
Guys, we are ready.
Time is Terrain Tuesdays. Terrain Tuesday at 3?
3 p.m. Yep.
3 p.m. Orion Noir. 3 p.m.
All right, guys. You keep being awesome, and
Indeedy.
We will see you then.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Yes, bye-bye. Have a great one.